All right, let me make sure we are live. All right, we are looking good. Okay, what's up, Christian entrepreneurs? My name is Reverend Ron Gelok, and today I have my friend, coaching client, and branding expert, Julia Baxter from Brand Studio with us here today. What's going on, Julia? How are you?
Hey, Ron, I'm great. How are you? Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. Guys, for those of you who don't know Julia, Julia is a branding expert. She worked in corporate America for, I think, 20 plus years, and now has started her own branding business. She is an expert for working with personal brands and entrepreneurs, all kinds of people. And I've seen her some really incredible work come out from Brand Studio this year. And I know she is somebody who really practices what she preaches when it comes to integrating her faith in business. So I thought, what a perfect person to have on this interview today. So Julia, I'm so excited to have you here with us today. Let's kind of jump in.
Yeah.
Cool. So you're out in Toronto, Canada. Cool. So what's up if we have any other Canadians with us here today, hanging out here. So Julia, first let's start right there with integrating our faith. So I talked to a lot of entrepreneurs who are just starting a business or getting serious about their brand, and we're believers. So a lot of them think that we have to. Does that mean that we have to market to other Christians? Like, should I differentiate myself that way and just put like 4 Christians or 4 believers, 4 kingdom-minded people? Like, do I have to do that?
Yeah, that's an awesome question. And from my perspective and my experience, and I think you see the same thing, if we're really teaching something of value, if we're solving problems, they don't necessarily have to be Christian problems. People just have problems. Right. So when we, in business in particular, if you're somebody who helps people with their social media, or you're someone who helps people get fit or whatever, it would be almost counterintuitive to say, you know what, I only want to serve Christians. I mean, Jesus served everybody. So we do too. And what I help people focus on, and what I think is more important, is really think about, well, what is your purpose? What is it that you want to solve? What are you gifted in? What's your purpose? And we'll get into maybe some of that. And then when you start solving things for people, I think you'll find that people of faith, if you are a person of faith, they're going to find you. They're going to be drawn to you anyway. So I've never said I only serve Christians, because I don't. But the reality is a lot of Christians find me. They want to work with me, or they want to work with you because we have something in common. It's really as simple as that.
So how are you? So I know that you're not doing that in your brand and Brand Studio, but you're still working with a lot of believers, a lot of faith-based people, which is awesome. So how are you sharing your faith? How are you integrating your faith in your brand? And how can other people do that without, coming off weird or cheesy, or, like church cheesy, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Some people are really shy about sharing their faith. And I mean, that's something that you have to look at as a person. I think, why, if you're feeling that you can't express that, if you're feeling like you'll be ridiculed or you won't build a business if you share your faith, I mean, I don't think that that's going to help you in any way. So when you're sharing your faith through your business, it doesn't have to be preaching at people. Let's hope it isn't. It's right. Really just being open about who you are. So I know many people who aren't of the Christian faith, and they're sharing what they believe. Mm-hmm. And it's just part of who they are. So really, your brand is who you are. So it's almost harder for me to, oh, I wouldn't want to do it, but for me to actually separate that from what I talk about. My brand is not about Bible teaching. I'm not a preacher. I'm not a reverend like you. I'm not a women's speaker at Christian events necessarily. So the things that I share, my faith is just part of who I am. So how I believe being led into purpose, what I believe about living through your God-given gifts and talents, I speak freely about that, about how I believe that works. Mm-hmm. And I quote scripture about it because it supports the comment I'm making. So I'm really just encouraging people to be authentically you. And if your faith is part of you, then that part should be easy to just express in how you communicate more than putting it into a brand deliberately.
Gotcha. Yeah, that totally makes sense. Because right now, most of the people that you are working with are personal brands, right?
Yes.
Can you talk more about that? About how you mentioned before, connected to like purpose. A lot of people are like, it's a hashtag that's trending, like purpose and passion to purpose. Like you're seeing it all over the place. I think I've been part of like 2 or 3 conferences that are called something like that right now. Do you know what I mean? Can you comment on that?
Yeah, I think we've all heard people talk about, do what you love and you'll never work a day in your life, or find what you love, follow your passion. Well, right. Following your passion, I mean, it all sounds nice, but there's a difference between being passionate about something and really feeling led, like that is your purpose for life. That is your purpose for being. That's where you are led to make an impact, for example. So most people are passionate about more than one thing. And when they think about branding, they're trying really hard to choose one thing. And the reality is it's easier if you can get clear on what am I meant to be doing in this moment? Because it could change, but what am I meant to be doing? How am I going to impact people? How will I create change? How can I use my gifts? Those kinds of questions will lead you into a purpose thought pattern beyond just what do I love? And I think people get really caught up in, but I want to love what I do. I want to be, I'm so passionate about travel, or I'm so passionate about health, or that kind of thing. You are probably passionate about more than one thing. So then you'll get stuck if you're trying to create a brand around all of the things you're passionate about. Your purpose is different. Your purpose is something where you can have an effect on others with something you love.
Gotcha. So what I'm hearing you say is that the two don't have to be the same, right?
Yes.
Because I've heard the same thing, the two schools of thought, but the one is, which I think can be like upsetting or a stumbling block for people thinking like this has to be my super, passion and purpose is what I'm doing in work or what I'm doing in business. And I think the better thing to do is look at your business, say this is going to be, worship to God, like let my work be glorifying to Him. But some people, their work, I think, is a means to their mission field. Maybe they want to give money to an organization or a charity. Maybe they want to just give it to church. Maybe they actually want to go on a missions trip, right?
Yes.
So I'm seeing both things as well. So, as you're trying to get clear on your brand, on what it should look like, who are you messaging? What are some of the signs to know if my brand isn't working? Like, how can I make sure my brand message is matching what the market wants?
Yeah, that's a really good question. Often people are thinking, let me figure out what a person would want? What is a market need? And then I'm going to force fit myself to solve that market need. And you can do that, but it's less natural. I think what the natural process would be, is if you looked at, well, what are my special gifts, talents, skills, and what do I feel qualified to talk about a lot? What do I feel qualified? And because many people will say, well, there's a need for A, B, or C, and I think I can figure out how to solve that need.
Right.
Well, then you're working really hard to solve a need that maybe you're not suited to do. Maybe you're not the person. So if you really consider, what do I love doing? What am I gifted at doing? And there are signs for that. There are people who tell you you're good at this. Right. It's easy for you. It's really a lot of instinct. But then it's also matching that with, is there really a need for what I'm good at in the marketplace? The answer is yes, there will always be a need for it, but it's how you apply what you're good at to solve a need that makes you feel good about solving too. Does that answer your question?
Yeah. So like one thing I think I picked up from what I'm hearing you say is not necessarily like going to the market first and seeing like what are the needs, like what are the gaps that I could potentially fill. You're taking it as more of like, what are my giftings and talents that like God's given me that he's deposited into you? And, you know, how can you serve people that way? And because you have this gift and talent, that's kind of where you start in building the brand. Am I hearing that right?
Yeah, that's exactly it. Because I really believe, and you'll see it when you think about your own, we're each given something special. And where we get stuck is, how do I use that? Like, oh, I'm good at listening to people. How does that translate into a business, right? Well, that skill can be translated into all kinds of different things. So it's asking deeper and deeper. I'm good at this. What can I do with this? And keep testing it back and forth. Would that light me up? Can I really make an impact? And I think this is a really important question, is what can I bring to this problem or this marketplace that is different? What do I have? What's my unique voice or spin or approach or experience that is different? Because that's what we're all given. None of us have lived the same life or have the same experience, even if we have the same title about what we do. We're really different.
Yeah, that's great perspective. I really like that. So everybody can differentiate themselves and their brands a bit just based on their experiences and who they are. I think that's great perspective. Because I've heard people say like, oh, I don't want to like use my gifts, or I don't want to like turn this into a business because there's already a million other people, you know, doing the same thing.
Yeah.
Right? But what I'm hearing is that there's always a way, there's always something unique, a way to differentiate and still stand out.
Yeah, it's what makes each of us individual. And in the marketplace, we hear just brand you, and then the message stops. Just brand you. Well, what does that mean?
Right.
Brand you. And I joke about it saying, well, you can't just sit around, here I am being me, and magically have a brand or a business. I'm just doing me.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
And often you'll hear people say, well, I'm a straight shooter. That's just who I am. That's my brand. No, that's your personality. That's not articulated as something. No one can say, well, Ron, he's a straight shooter, so therefore I understand what he can do for my business. You have to like kind of wrap it up in something they can understand. So it's going deeper than what am I good at and what can I solve? It's how do all those pieces work together to actually light you up? I mean, I believe that, and I see it in my clients, I've seen it in my own business, is the thing that we're drawn to that is usually easiest for us, you know, the path of least resistance, is usually a good idea. It's usually going to help you connect with other people, give you joy, and really give you an outlet for that thing that is already planted in you. I mean, it's been there, and if you've been growing it, you might just not have known what to do with it.
That's great. That's great perspective. I love everything that you're doing over at Brand Studio, and how you're kind of like helping people see how God's wired them with certain gifts and talents, and then turn it into a brand. It's really, really cool. So once somebody is in that place where they're, hey, here's my gifts and talents, like I know what I'm good at and what I'm not good at, how do I start turning that into a brand? Like, what are some of the elements of a great brand?
The process that I think works really well for most people is getting clear on vision first. Like, what do you want your life to be like in service? How do you want to use those gifts, ideally? Match those with your values. I mean, that works for everyone. What do you really value? Is it family? Is it service? Is it, time freedom? Is it success, which is okay to express that? So vision, values, and really getting clear on your point of difference that you mentioned is how can you take what you know and do it either in a different way or express it in a different way. So an example is, there are thousands of people who are fitness coaches, thousands and thousands and thousands. Mm-hmm. So how do you actually, if you're thinking about branding yourself, it's not enough to say, I'm a fitness coach, mm-hmm. or even I'm a fitness coach for women, or I'm a fitness coach for 20-year-old women. That's getting closer on targeting. Yeah. That's not getting any closer on what makes you different. So if you're the person who can bring out, an inner strength, or you're someone who specializes in helping women be fit and confident, you can kind of mix up all of the things that you really find important and keep it limited to a few so that it's clear, put it into a message that people can really understand and stick with that like glue. It becomes the one, elements of a great brand is being consistent in your approach, in your content, your message, your visuals, everything supports that one purpose. So your brand to me is really just an expression of what are you trying to accomplish? It's what is your purpose?
Yeah. I think, and then communicating your purpose when those ideal clients, when those target avatars meet that message, like that's the coupling of a perfect thing there.
Yes.
Hey, actually, we have some fitness coaches on here right now. I'm seeing in the comments. So that was a great example.
Oh, cool. Hope you guys got value out of that little bit.
That's great. So, Julia, as we wrap things up, what I wanted to kind of ask you a couple last questions. Was there anything I should have asked you but didn't? What would be really important for entrepreneurs who are also Christian to know?
You ask good questions. So one of them I think would be, people often ask, how do I make a shift from just being generic to being branded without changing what I'm meant to do? Because I think a lot of people in your community are more in touch, more in touch with, God is leading me in this direction, or I really feel, how we speak about it, I feel led to serve in this particular area, and people get stuck on, now what? I feel led to serve there, and how important is a brand to that, or can I just keep marketing and marketing and marketing? Mm-hmm. So I think the question that I would want people to have an answer for is, I see your comment there. How do I stand out? And what is the difference between marketing and branding?
Yeah, that's a great question. Yeah.
So the difference, the way I explain it is kind of a fun way of looking at it, but I think it makes it clear, is your brand is really the theme song that it's like when you enter a room, it's like having your own band, and everybody can sing along with what that tune is. If they get you, they're tapping their toe and clapping their hands and singing along with you, that I understand what you're putting out there. If you're a fitness coach, I understand what your value is to me, and I'm with you. We're in the same rhythm, really. So your brand is really like a theme song. Okay. And marketing is really just like handing you the microphone to get that brand heard. To me, that's all marketing is. It's like a speaker or a microphone, because you've already created, what is the thing I have to say? What's my tune here? What I want singing the same tune here and nobody's listening. It's because often we're out there promoting or marketing, like turning up the volume on something that isn't meaningful and no one gets yet. So branding first helps make your marketing better.
Yeah, that totally makes sense. Because I think one of the problems that I'm seeing, I was actually seeing somebody else comment about this too, is that we're taught to like just like go get into action right away and like, figure out the branding later. Like just go start putting links out, start posting in the groups, start making YouTube videos, and you're like, you haven't gotten clear on who you are, what your message is, who you're talking to. And I think that's why, I don't know if you're seeing this too, I think that's why a lot of entrepreneurs don't really make it much further out of the starting gate.
Yeah, that comment is so common, or the feeling of, I'll do branding later. And the reason people say that is because they don't really understand branding. They believe that, I'm just going to do the website later, or I'll get my colors and fonts done later. That's visual branding, or it's the functional engine behind your marketing is your website. It's just a place for your branding to live. It's not branding on its own. And content isn't branding. So it's really giving, what you said is giving it the thought. I mean, whether you have a brand coach or you go deep into a professional, polished, amazing $1 million brand.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if you've got a huge budget or you have no money at all. Mm-hmm. What branding really requires is thought. A lot of thought is, what do I want to stand for? How am I piecing this together? So when we start with market, and most of us do, I mean, that's just how it goes, because we want to get the business going. It is harder to be clear to your audience and be clear on your purpose and your strategy if you just market first and say, I'll figure out the brand later. If you figure out the brand first, it leads your marketing, and it's so much more seamless.
Yeah, I think it's really nice having that brand foundation to really start from places, because that, like, and that's biblical too. It's like it's like building your house upon the sand. You don't have anything firm to stand on and have all your communications come from something. People are not clear, what you stand for. And if you don't stand for anything, or it looks like you don't stand for anything, you essentially stand for nothing.
Exactly.
Everybody wants to follow that.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And a foundation is a good word for it, because it's a stabilizer. It's really something not just to stand for, but to stand on. Like, I can literally bank on this is what my brand is about, and then grow from there, instead of losing your footing all the time trying to figure out a new marketing platform and that kind of thing.
Right. Someone's asking, so the brand is all about resonating with your target audience. Marketing is the tools and tactics to get your message out. Is that accurate?
Yeah, almost. I would say brand, I think it's really, really close. Yeah, the marketing part for sure. The branding part is creating something first for you that anchors your business, anchors your decisions. When you know what you stand for, what your purpose is, who you serve, how you help people, and the big one is what makes you different. When you know those things, if opportunity comes your way, and it will, you'll be able to make really nimble decisions about, or be nimble about your decisions about, is this right for my brand or is it not? Is this something I should do today or not? And it's, yes, you're turning it on a dime. It's like an instant, I know this is right for me, or no, this isn't. And this is fun. It's so fun when someone comes to you with something that is totally off brand for you. It's really easy to just say, I really love what you're doing, but that's not part of my brand. They don't know what to say because you're so clear. Yeah.
I just had that happen this week, actually, because a small grocery store came to me, and I was like, this isn't, I'm not really the right, fit for you. It's, coaches, personal brands, experts. That's who I serve. So yeah, I totally get that as well. Cool. So, but Julia, you help people with all of this. You help people with this entire process, like finding what you're gifted at and pulling your gifts out and then turning it into a brand that really represents someone and what God's planted in them. So if people want to get started with you or just start learning more about this process, that's a better way to say it, how can we connect with you?
Yeah, the best way to connect with me is in my free brand community. It's called Brand Studio Unplugged. We make branding easier, simpler. So in there, we talk about brand positioning and strategy and design and all things branding, because that's my purpose, is to show people how to do that. So if you want to be part of that community, I'd love to have you there. It's for entrepreneurs. And as we say in there, it's where entrepreneurs create world-class brands around what they do best. So that group is brandstudiounplugged.com. And just answer a few questions, and someone will let you in, and you'll see some good resources and a little workshop and cool things in there to help you get going.
Awesome, Julia. So it's brandstudiounplugged.com, or we can join your free Facebook group and start getting some of the free resources there. I know you have like a 5-day challenge going on.
I do. And there's a cool 5-day challenge. People are getting some good results in there that takes you through, how do you discover what your brand should be about? What is this purpose? What is this thing I should anchor my brand on? How do I discover what that is? And then what do I do with it? So in 5 days, you'll be really clear on, like, brand should give you clarity. It gives you clarity on what should my brand be about, which is what most people struggle with the most.
Okay, awesome. So guys, check out Julia's group, brandstudiounplugged.com. Hop into the 5-day challenge if you want to get started on getting clear on your brand and who you are, your message. I'm just so excited about what you're doing, Julia, and some of the incredible brands that have come out during 2018 and shortly here, 2019, right? So, Julia, again, thank you so much for being on here today.
Thank you, Ron. Thank you so much. And for those of you who might have missed it, I've been working with Ron for just over a year. And I knew that branding was my jam, but since working with Ron and Christ-centered coaching, my business has transformed. My faith has been stronger. And I just can't say enough about working with you, Ron. Thank you so much for being my coach. And you really have been a big part of the growth of Brand Studio, and it's going to be a good 2019.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thanks, Julia. I really appreciate that. You've come out with some great brands, some cool products, a lot of great client testimonials. So you're rocking it. So I love having you as a client and on the show here today. So thank you, everybody, for watching. I'll see you guys here in the Christian Entrepreneur community a bit later on. We'll be trying to do these interviews more regularly. So thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you next time. God bless.